May the words of my mouth and the meditations of all our hearts be acceptable in your sight, O Lord, our rock and our redeemer. Please be seated. So I'm going to start with our sentence for the day, which is on the front of your bulletin. We don't say this sentence in these services, but it ties in every time. I don't know why this is so fuzzy. Quietly accept the message planted in your hearts. It can bring you salvation. Our readings today, as I said to the kids, are about mystery. They're about the things we don't know, but we take on faith. We live by faith, not by sight. But just like so many readings that we have, the meaning is lost in time to a certain extent. Our gospel today about planting. And as the seed grows, what we see, but don't know how, well, that's no longer true. We actually do understand what happens when a seed germinates and grows and is watered and fed, and how it works. And we've come up with all kinds of ways to make it work better, because we know, we understand, or at least we do to a certain extent. There are things we still can't control, like weather. But we understand how that seed works. And so this parable just doesn't quite work. In Jesus' time, when they planted a seed, they really had no clue. They knew that if they planted the seed, this plant would grow, which would produce the same seed. But they didn't know what happened. And they thought of it as a wonder. Not as a miracle or as magic, but as a wonder. It's something that God did that was out of sight. In our society, we have a need to know the answers. We need to know how it works. We need to know that when we put money in the bank, it will still be there, and hopefully it will grow. We need to know that when we turn on the light switch, the electricity will flow, and the light will turn on. We need to know that not only when we plant the seed in the ground, it will germinate and start to grow, but if we water it and feed it, it will grow better and bigger. And if we mix this seed with that seed, we'll change the plant a bit and get something which might yield more or be more hardy. Or if we coat the seed with this, certain bugs won't eat it. We need to know, but we also need to not know. And this is where we get kind of caught up, and where this mysterious book tries to tell us, come on, turn things over again. You've lost the way. I know there are times that I lose the way. And I just had that brought home to me very strongly. In Dysart, where we just had a meeting with the bishop and with Murray of M&M Marketing, who's doing the Living the Mission campaign, looking for a way forward that Dysart can be more financially sustainable. Because of the 3 churches in this parish, they're the one that's actually coming the closest to meeting their budget. But they have no money. So what do we do to actually bring life back? And one of the things that was brought up is there's a lot of stuff that has gone very well with children. And there have been requests for baptisms, but they're not from people who come to church. Murray suggested that we go out and do a baptism in the park and invite anybody who came. If you want to bring your kids and be baptized, have them baptized. Go out into the world. And this turned on its head for me something that I've fought a long time, because I really push for people to have baptismal preparation, to think about why we baptize. And a big part of that is because there are some really strange reasons that people get baptized that have built up over the years. And thankfully the church no longer believes those wacky things, like you're going to go to hell or be stuck in purgatory if you're not baptized when you die. But my need to control that, instead of letting God do God's work. Jesus didn't tell people that you've got to be baptized or you're saved. He said, you're saved. Oh, and by the way, you might want to get baptized. And he sent the disciples out. Go out and baptize. Not go out and teach people what it means to be baptized and then baptize them. But go out with the power of the Holy Spirit and let God work. I think, for me, in theology, because one of the things to become a priest is you do lots of study. You get lots of knowledge. You cram it all in there, and then you try and spew it back out and make it make sense. I get very caught up in trying to be really in tune with that knowledge. And I forget to leave room for God to do things, instead of telling God what God should do. So maybe we will have a baptism in the park, and any who come get baptized. And then let God do that work. I don't know what the mystery that we'll discover here is, and I'm sure there is one. There better be, otherwise, there's not a lot of life. Because without that mystery, we're not leaving room for God to work. We are controlling. It's really hard to let go of that control. I find it very difficult to just say, what's going to happen? I don't know. I'm really good at that with paperwork and stuff. And with planning, making sure that, meetings are going to happen, just letting them come as they are. But sort of an overall picture, no, I want to plan. I want to know what we're trying to accomplish. Instead of just going out there and saying, here I am. What am I supposed to do? I'm here. And that's, I think, what we need to do more. Because unless we step out of what we're used to, unless we step out of where we have control, we won't discover what God's doing. We won't discover the gifts that God has given us that fit specifically with the needs that are here. We just keep bringing the same thing to the table over and over again and saying, here, let's do this, let's do this. It didn't work last time, but maybe it'll work this time. So, how do we do that? How do we let go? How do we give that control to God? And not just it's not just saying we're doing it. It can't be just saying, well, let's not do anything and hope. Actively letting God take control. Some put their trust in chariots and some in horses. Some put their trust in knowledge and in possessions. Some put their trust in money and in buildings. I pray that we will call upon the name of the Lord our God, and that's where we'll